Hey, Milo, what's up, dude? No, excuse me 1 second, please. Okay, going through this. Whew. Hi, everyone. I'm Tara, aka Spirit Mother, and I'd like to welcome you all back to my channel on YouTube, Spirit Teachings of Going Within Self, on TikTok, 1974 Enlightened Soul, and I'm also live on my Facebook. If you're new to my channel, I always recommend, suggest, and really encourage you to read the description on my YouTube channel, Spirit Teachings of Going Within Self, to get a better understanding of what it is that I do bring forward on my channel. Some of you are aware that, I use my own life experiences. I do a lot of different things that people portray to be conspiracy theory. I talk biblical sense. I bring a whole lot of different perspective to things, whether you believe it or don't believe it, or it resonates with you and it doesn't. Hi. Now, I don't usually bring out a chalkboard, but I have one today. Okay, and the reason why I have it is because I've been doing a lot of different going inward and channeling. Because last week I wasn't well at all. I was doing a lot of ascension symptoms, a lot of clearings, and a lot of yelling, and I lost my voice there for a bit. Now, while I wasn't well, I was going through these symptoms and what have you. I was actually experiencing things throughout my body, because spirit was taking me into my body to find out why I was possibly experiencing things in that area of it. And spirit was bringing a lot of different theories, different perspectives and way of looking at things, because people tend to look at it one way and no other way, because your systems tell you that it's this way and it can't be any other way, which they're wrong, and it can be other ways. Yala moto quería visito todo todo rio. Sukuru kutukuye koresta no se sukuru marayo umukoso ortuire. I know you don't always understand what I'm saying. That's fine. It's not about understanding it. It's about experiencing it and feeling it, because my channel is spirit to spirit. So I'm speaking to your spirit. It's not personal. It's to your spirit. I didn't learn the languages anywhere. I died. I come back and I started going inward and realizing, you know, who I am on a spirit higher level of myself. So I have the chalkboard today because spirit was channeling a lot, because you have, okay, let's see. You have flat earth, right? So people see flat earth as being like this with the dome, okay? Now, round earth, right? You see it like this. Okay. Let me do this one a little bit better. So you got it like this. Okay, so there's your flat earth, and there's your round earth. Not very round, but I don't care. Now, think of it this way. As above, so below. Okay, so as above, so below. So as above, we'll cut the earth in half. Okay, as above, so below. Now you say about the inner core of the earth, okay, because this is my theory. This is what Spirit has shown me, okay. If you look around, okay, you have, okay, People will say, like it is, it's water. Like see, so your sky is much like water. Okay, it looks like water, right? Okay, what happens? Rain comes from the sky, right? Okay, and there's humidity everywhere. So if there's humidity everywhere, then we live in water, right? Okay, so now I'm going to bring a whole different perspective. Okay, so in order to have a whole Earth, okay, you have up here, and then you have the funnel, and then and that's your unit. So what does this symbolize? Two flat Earths, right? That's what it could symbolize. This here, what's it look like? It looks like an apple, right? So what's in the middle of the apple? The core, right? So the core would be your coil. Okay. So that's like a funnel. Okay. So now people say about the mothership, right? You're looking for the mothership. People say you're crazy, you're crazy, you're crazy. Well, I'm crazy. You're fighting over who's right about a flat Earth and who's right about a round Earth, and I'm showing you something that makes more sense and is more feasible because you say we're surrounded by water, so it's like a force field, correct? So here's the force field of the two and the core in the middle. You say inner Earth. Parallel worlds. Parallel worlds. See, Spirit showed me that, okay, if you think of two ships, okay, let's do this, okay, here's one ship, okay, and here's another ship. I'm not very good at drawing boats, but here, okay, and when they do, they connect together, right? They connect together to share fuel. This is the connection. Okay, you're looking for the mothership, and then the other ships are coming. Where do you think the other ships are coming? They're going in underwater, right? Okay, so this would be your water around here, around your Earth, right? On both sides. It's going in the water, in the water, in the water, in the water. We're at the South Pole. This would represent your inner Earth, the coil. Okay, you say about them having uh, domes and a whole other city in the Earth. But people look at me like I have 100 heads. But you have a theory of this and this, and I'm giving you the theory of the apple. You say the core, mirror. If you have the sun here, it's reflecting. It's reflecting. But to you, it won't make sense because the inner Earth has to be right, and the round Earth has to be right, and the apple can't be right because it puts the connection. You take two ships and they connect together. So that would be your inner Earth. That would be the parallel worlds, living in two different worlds going in between. This would be, this here would be like the portal at the in between, but that would be too crazy for certain people because, you know, here, hold on one sec. Geography would teach you differently. Hold on. Oh shit, right on the book. This would teach you differently, right? And this would teach you differently. Okay, you have the astrology. Okay, people say that it doesn't move, it's fixed. So if it's fixed, okay, and this is the inner projection right here, which is much like the eye, right? The eye reflects. You know, you have a theory of flat Earth and a round Earth, but you know, you say about going in the water, inner Earth. Well, you say here and here. Okay, so here's your north, south, east, west, whichever I have right or wrong. I don't care. What's this? North, south, east, or never eat shredded wheat. They're coming in not from the north or south pole, as you were maybe, you know, maybe the earth is this way. As above, so below. Okay? And you're surrounded by water. So if the earth is surrounded by water, you say you have other planets, other places out here, which would be out in the outer of the water, right? Must be right somewhere. But how could that be, right? No, we're going to still argue about flat Earth. We're going to still argue about round Earth, but they're going to say about the apple. Adam or Eve ate the apple. The apple represents knowledge of what it really is. This is shaped like an apple core. It's two ships. You know, you have your ships, much like this, right? And then they're over like that, oval, a round bottom, and an oval and a dome top, right? You're in a simulation. You know, think of the core, the apple core, mind, heart, and the core, the voice, the sort, like the sort, the center, the sword of Aaron. You know, artificial and alpha. The alpha creates artificial. The artificial is more of the mind, it's the illusion, it gives that perception of the eye, right? And the heart is the love where you feel. But that can't be a proper theory, right? Because, it's nowheres in your history. Maybe it is. Maybe they're showing you and you're just not seeing it. But this here is what spirit showed me. It's all the spaceships outside, like all the perceived planets outside of the illusion, and they have to go into the center Earth in order to go between. Aren't people saying that they're going to be coming out of the water? So you have the two ships, the mother and the father, and you have the two ships. That can't be real because everything. It has to be like it's got to be this, it's got to be that. But you think of it much like the human body because you can look at it that way with regards to the consciousness, the illusion. You live in one and you're an illusion in another. You know, you say the rapture. What it did yesterday. And there's the cross. Where do you get across here? Like you go here, the end, like it's just all. So this here, you say this is supposed to be molten rock here, okay? If you read with regards to like how they say that a star is formed, or how they say a planet, or what have you, how things are formed, the gases and everything like that. You take that and you look at the human body. Okay, so this is less. Dang, I hate when my talk breaks. Let's go with the blue. Much like a compass, right? Okay, so this is water, Where is, you say Atlantis. Where is Atlantis? You say Atlantis sunk. Well, where did Atlantis sink to? You say it's one way or another. You say about a black hole. Well, how is a black hole? Let's see. You have this is the black hole, and it goes like this. You have to funnel it, right? But people say there's no other side to it. There's always another side to the black hole because it's like what goes up must come down, what goes in comes out. There's your black hole. What's this like? Well, it's like the black hole. sucked into one and up to the other, and it's like a vacuum hose. The only way it doesn't move is if there's a plug, right? And if there's a plug in it, a plug. You won't put that there because I felt that. We're sick of more than. Hey, what? Because, and you didn't hang in with me. You don't know that stuff. That looks much like seriously, that looks like a compass. So some think it's flat Earth, you think it's the dome. Okay, so much like Simpsons. Remember the movie Glass Dome? Beautiful. Here was the glass dome. And Cole that got Homer and L. And then Homer came back in, and up here was the hole. You say that the ships, spaceships, they'll come up and they'll land. Okay. Now people would say, well, with a round Earth, like, wouldn't you fall off? So, going and you're over the edge. It's like, what the fuck? So black hole. Okay, you say Project Bluebeam. Project Bluebeam. Here's the beam. Down. As above, so below. But did they ever say sideways? So what would be sideways? Well, that would be where the core is, where the opening to the inner earth would be like this. If you look at it, I'm not learning this stuff by looking in a book or anything like that. Spirit's bringing it to me. Not only this stuff, but also different parts of medical stuff that we've been told and led to believe of how the human body functions. Spirit showed me that the other night when I was like experiencing something. So you don't believe it? Well, that's entirely up to your fucking self. But you might want to come out of the dogma and listen to people who actually what you perceive to sound crazy. Because I'll tell you right now, this here makes a whole lot more sense with regards to, you say the apple, Eve ate the apple. Who dug the fucking hole in the earth, right? Like, you think they dug all the way down to the other end of the earth? Or doesn't it seem more feasible because you're saying, like, disclosure, disclosure? Well, even when fucking disclosure is in your face, you still go to Kim, it's not real. That can't be true because we were taught this. And in earlier times, we were taught this. Well, neither were actually wrong because they were half truths, just leaving out the true meaning of the apple because the apple has core here. You say the apple, right? Here's the apple. It's round. Well, not perfectly round, but it's the apple. It's round, right? So let's do this. I may not be getting this perfectly right, but hey, no, how is it? Well, I broke my apple. Didn't do a very good job, but hey, okay, what do you have there? Okay, you have two halves together, connected at the core. Disalapukoyam, the hookup. But will people believe that? Thank you. Will people believe that? Fuck no. And why won't you believe that? Because you were taught this and you were taught this. You were taught that a black hole, it only sucks in and it doesn't put out. Okay, so you have the gases. Now, right here, this is what you think your Earth is like. Like one of those big gobstoppers, right? It has. Okay, it's like a spiral stairwell. The coil, noi. Sugar. Two ships connected. You're fighting over who the superior one is, right? You have the mothership. You're looking for the mothership. The separation. What do you think the separation of the two worlds are? What do you think? They're fueled up. They're fueled up. You're separating. What is it? What is it? My parallel worlds. One that day. Separation. You say that ships are coming in to take family home or what have you, as you say, the disclosure. Do you know, like the disclosure? Why, like you say that certain things are coming to the surface. If they're coming to the surface, they're coming up to the surface. As above, so below. People won't get that though, because like I said, you've only been given two theories. This would be the spiral too, because it would go down the core of the apple, the connection between the mother and father. You know, what do they do? They You live up here, you live here, but it comes in from in here. The center, the core. It's like the tree. The seeds are in the middle, the pods disperse, the pods come out here and here. But to think of parallel worlds, you think of two round worlds. How are two worlds? Like you believe they're like this? Well, they are in a sense. Here and here and here. I took this to my therapist today and showed him. And I explained the shift theory to him. So hey, people want to think of them like bunkers. Well, hey, good for you. But I'll believe spirit before I'll believe your text. Solamente con maya sana no shalena kesrena. Eu. Parecido por aí. Because he was curious about the tree when I explained. But I explained it in more of a medical term of it, and how I've seen it medically. When you're looking for something, you never find it. When you're not looking for it, it's right in your face. Sure, it looks much like an apple too, doesn't it? As above, so below. But like I said, you'll say, well, you didn't go to university, you didn't learn all this stuff and that and what have you. And, well, I know that like describing the stars and galaxies when I was sitting there, all I could do was write about like the human body and how the chakras align. You have this is said to be in your body, okay? Your body. Okay, you have your seven chakras. You have the one up top and the one down the bottom, and you have the seven in between. What's that represent? Your planets, right? The alignment of the planets, the alignment of the chakras. When the ship aligns, sounds like a whole lot of conspiracy theory mumbo jumbo. Well, to me, this is a conspiracy theory, and this is the conspiracy theory because hey, you're fighting against it. So Wouldn't that mean that on one side it's a conspiracy theory, on the other side it's a conspiracy theory? But this, to me, is the one that makes the most sense. Because in your Bible, it does say that Eden ate the apple, the truth. And this is the apple, the core, and the truth, the black hole, all intertwined. There's what the black hole looks like. But, people say it's a funnel, it goes to nowhere. Well, wouldn't it, like if everything, you sucked everything in and it stops, it goes nowhere, but you're still sucking things in. Where's it going? It's much like the female human reproductive system. Goes in, comes out. Seed is in the middle. And the seed is birth. The seed, the truth, and the child. But people will say, "Oh, with the black hole." Like I've even heard someone say that the black hole closes up. I read it when I was looking into it because, like, with their theory, it never made no sense. It's like a vacuum, right? It sucks things in. So a vacuum, when it sucks things in, it has to have somewhere to go, right? So it can dump out. But this won't make sense to many people because, like I said, but take an apple and actually look at an apple and understand the theory of what the apple represented. Well, you're saying things are coming up, and animals you've never seen before, and animals that were said to have been extinct, animals that have been said to be myth. But you'll say Project Bluebeam. Well, what do you think Project Bluebeam is? People say, "Oh, it's to bring in this, what have you." Well, that's what your whistleblowers believe it to be. But is it possible that Project Bluebeam is trying to show you something to see how you would react when the truth comes to light? Because you can't keep the illusion going on because there's too many people waking up to it. I could feel that somebody just come in the room and didn't like my theory. Well, maybe I don't like yours because if you're of the flat Earth or you're of the round Earth, but you string your Bible says about an apple core, and this describes about the apple, and this describes the apple, and there's your cross. It meets in the middle, right? Meets where the seeds would be, the pods. Who they can, who they kill. People are saying that the ships are coming out of the water. Ships are coming out of the water. You say you have an ice wall. Here's your perceived ice wall. But there's the other Earth that's living around it. Is it possible what you perceive to be Earth could actually be what you perceive to be Atlantis, the fall of Atlantis? You say you're observing a galactic war. How else would you be seeing a galactic war? Where do you think that these beings would come out of the earth, like would come up out of the earth? I had a vision. It was like a dream, but it was real. And it was like I went from one earth to the other because it was like I went inside the earth, but it was like I was seeing the other planets outside of it, but I was still inside of it. So it was like I went down into this hill, but there was parts where I was going downstairs. And then I was in this not a, it was like a cabin, but it wasn't a cabin. And my family was there, but they weren't. It was like they were my family, but they weren't for my family. And then what ended up happening when I come out of it, it was like I was coming out of a government building, a warehouse, because it was big, fucking huge bay doors. But like people will say, "Oh, you didn't go to university. You don't know what you're talking about, this or that." Well, you got, like I said, you got people saying about flat Earth. You got people saying about round Earth, and then your Bible says about the apple. Well, the apple looks like this. Ela tutorial, né? Ela tutorial siya lagay ay. Kaya magkutapuro sikto porque lumus sa kano ko ay. It's you can think I'm crazy or however you want to portray me. But hey, with all due respect, why am I any crazier than you are for thinking the earth is flat or the earth is round? They do say a ionosphere or what have you, right? But they're just not telling you that it's like water. You're surrounded by humidity, which is water droplets, right? And where did they say Atlantis lived? Atlantis was in the water, right? Are you in the water just don't know it? But no, you can't have that, right? That can't be remotely true. Fish out of water. Say Adam was of the land, Lilith was of the water. Was Adam in the ship and Lilith lived outside of it? Oh, 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 oh. The word who. You have the Who Foundation. When you decode the word who, it gives you the word beach, which means you are beached like a whale. You cannot go off the land. You can't leave the ship. You can't leave the dome. It's like, excuse me, like a dome on both sides, but they have the middle because they have the two ships connected to the core, which produces a core. It's like an umbilical cord. It connects both the mother and the child, right? You don't have to believe my theory. But I don't have to believe flat Earth, and I don't have to believe round Earth because I see it to be more of this, which makes both people right, both sides right. You can't have that right because one's got to be right over the other. There can't be no logical, there can't be no connection because it's not fun unless one side's foot against the other, right? So mine is more of a conspiracy theory, which mine makes more sense. Where's the center of the earth? The center of the cross. La semmașoleta right? Alla tu purichita riesimi. So next time you like want to see like a portrayal of a ship, they mostly have them looking like this with a round bottom. So is it on its side? You have the moon and you say it only shows one face. You can't see the other side. Well, why the fuck can't you see the other side? Right now, my body feels like it's freaking overheating. It's like, Boris, you almost on a guy. You do put it here, it's too to dream. Yes, to do yeah. Excuse me 1 second. There. The bunkers. Sorry, I had that like the queasy feeling in my belly. I almost feel like it was like to throw up. And this is what spirit started channeling through me. See? Spirit started channeling it through me. And it was like, holy shit. So now I don't want to erase it off. But I took a picture of it. Well, ships connect, even you think of in space, what happens in space. The ships will connect to what is it, your docking stations or what have you in space. It's much the same, right? They hook up. So they hook up and you think this is not feasible? The hologram, Isyule kutoka la creazione mokatatia. Hey, I guess spirit showing me something. But like I said, people think that I'm crazy. But this here, right here, it shows both versions. That's why I say neither version is wrong, because the outer skin of it, the shield, the water shield, what have you, and then the two halves. As above, so below, same as the tree of life. You have the leaves and you have the roots. There's your flat earth, round earth, and this is true earth, two trips. Oh, I forgot to write connected. Okay. So different one. Now, well, that sucks. Hold on one sec. Maybe I can do this a little better. But I'm looking for I'm just getting some lights on and I have to get a clock. I don't know where all my oh, there it is, and I got apple cores everywhere. Or not apple cores, I have apple everywhere. Now, right. Apple everywhere. Okay. Now, let's give that a little bit longer to dry. Now, like I said, I don't expect people to believe what I just had up. That's, you know, you want people to believe flat Earth. You want people to believe round Earth. But I showed you a whole different concept with regards to maybe others showed it before, but it was the apple. Okay, so now we're going to go human body. Okay, I said today it's going to be conspiracy theory, right? People like a good conspiracy theory. Now, okay, so let's see. We have, oh, look, there's a human body there already. So we'll give you back the human body. Yeah, not very good at drawing, right? Okay. Okay. So here's the brain. Okay. Everything goes down the body. So let's do this. Right. The reason why I'm doing this is because this symbolizes the nervous system, right? Okay. So then you have all through your brain a bunch of nerves and everything goes. Okay. And everything comes down from the brain into the body. Okay. Let's give the person some eyes and not some lips. They feel a little human. Now, okay, so we have the human body, and we have a lung, we have a lung, okay? And everything comes down and connects, right? And it all connects back to the brain, where all your sensors are, right? Lung, not very good drawing, but I don't care. Lung. Now, I want you to think of, like, okay, we'll think of a respiratory disorder, okay? You say it's an infection at lungs, okay? So your lungs fill up. That's classed as an infection. Where does the infection come from? Well, the infection goes through what? All through the bloodstream and it travels up into the brain. Okay? Now, I was laying in bed the other night and I was experiencing things, and it was like things were filling, it was like my lungs started filling up, and I was trying to figure out, because do lungs just automatically fill up, or does it come from somewhere else? Well, the infection, usually it's triggered, you know, it's in your bloodstream, it's triggered from the brain. Okay. So when did it mean that it comes down, the fluid comes down from the brain, down in and down into the lungs? Because when I was laying there and I could feel it, it was like I was feeling it coming, and it was like it was coming down, because it goes in here and down. Because okay, think of this, like you say you swallow, you bring up phlegm. Phlegm, it goes down your esophagus, doesn't it? Like you swallow it, right? And sometimes it'll go in down, or it'll go loud and go into your lungs. But everything goes from the brain and drains, right? And goes down into your throat. Are we all in agreement with that? Oh yeah, now I'm getting a warning of a connection because I started talking about something medical. This is my theory, you know, this is how I see it, and this is what I experienced in my body from it. But hey, don't question them, right? Don't question the authorities, because if you question them, then you're in the wrong. But I was feeling it was coming down in here to get to my lungs, to get in my lungs, like, and I was coughing, like coughing it up. But I wasn't feeling it in my lungs. It felt like what I mean is the filling up didn't feel like it was in my lungs. It felt like it was in around here more so, which also gave me the pain of it. I'm not saying that it doesn't. But what I'm saying is from what I was experiencing, it was going down and into the lungs, not filling up like, how people would perceive. So I started going like this, and I got into an area where I took my finger and I touched on it and I held it there. And as I held it there, I felt it moving. I was able to breathe better. And I was taught, and spirit had me talking through it to figure out, like, to figure out where exactly it was coming from. So I realized that it wasn't coming from like filling up in my lung per se as what you think it would, but it was actually the coming from my brain, the cerebral fluid. That's what it is. It's cerebral fluid. And when you hook it up, okay, it has a different color, right? Okay, because it like it gets the more infected the cerebral spinal fluid is, the more yellowy it gets. But the cerebral spinal fluid, it's actually a clear crystal-like fluid. How do I know? Because in 20 was later in 2006 after my car accident, I was going around, and all of a sudden this it was like a clot dropped from in here, and it dropped down into my throat. And when it dropped down into my throat, I went like that. And it was like a jelly. It was constructed, it was jelly, and it was clear, and you could see the crystals in it. I tried taking it. Oh, we can't test it because it wasn't in the sanitary dish. From what I understand, what I ended up spitting out was, in between your spine, your vertebrae, there are those jelly-like, and they come up, and I dropped it out. And then in 2019, when I was unwell, it was like I was it was like I was blowing bubbles. I'll show you. It was much like when it was coming up, it was hurting really bad because it was like acid coming up. Okay, and I mean, it felt like it was like really burning. I felt like I was throwing up my insides. Just give me one sec. Oh, shit. So think of it this way: that's your nerves. That everything goes down. It drains. It drains down. Like it. I know it goes all the way around, but it circulates from the brain and down. Don't believe me. You don't have to. But next time you're not feeling well and you're experiencing stuff like that, have it check see. start touching up around here and see what it does for you. Let's go to my photos. Oops. So sad. It was a while back, so just bear with me. I actually had somebody before comment about it. And this happened just before I died because I had to call the ambulance, and that was the time that the ambulance came, and they made me walk to the ambulance, and I couldn't really walk. They were holding me up and kind of dragging me, and I had somebody else tell me, like, "You weren't walking; they were dragging you." I appreciate you bearing with me. It's frustrating if it's not here. Might not- Right here. I was very unwell, and as you can see right in there, that was like blowing a bubble with bubble gum. It was that it was that thick, and that's when I was like I was throwing up acid, and that's how it kept coming up, and it was crystal like. And my ex-husband came that day, and I told him I needed he was getting upset with me because it was hurting. Like I mean, I couldn't breathe, nothing, and they they made me walk to the ambulance and get up in the ambulance myself. That's why do I have like Frisiki Muay Thai, Risakai. The spirit is angry because when I was feeling that the other night, like first thing to do, like when you're feeling unwell, you want to get well fast. Like for women, you know, go to bed with your panties on and that's it. Because what ends up happening is you have your clothes on and it confines everything within you. It keeps it in your body and you need to allow it to release. But see, when you have that, start going around here and you'll feel it clear. Not saying don't get medical treatment or anything like that, but I'm telling you, like, try yourself at home first instead of constantly running to the doctor because they're going to say, here, take that prescription. But it was right in here, and when I started pressing there, the fluid started clearing from here and clearing from my head. I do a lot of my own self healing. The other night I did videos, and I was hurting bad. My heart was like it was hurting. It was like I was having a heart attack. It was like I was having a heart attack. It was like I was had one massive heart spasm that wouldn't go away and everything like that. And I mean, I was crying, but I wouldn't go to the hospital. I stayed and I wrote it out and I figured out why my heart was hurting. What was causing that pain to feel like I was having a massive fucking heart attack? Like the motion, out of the ordinary. Let's listen to this together. Taking you out of that frame of mind that keeps you thinking that things are only this way. Ordinary, taking you out of the ordinary. The angels up in the clouds. So my. Ordinary. We're gonna get to something else. Every illness goes through the bloodstream, but comes through the it's like if you get injured. I mean, you have the physical cuts, okay? But most things are mental, except for a physical cut. It's a cut. The things that are internal, mentally, they can be healed spiritually. Everybody sees things one way or another. Just because you see it one way doesn't mean it's wrong. But it's start taking everything and bringing it together and looking at each thing that someone says, and you will see the overall bigger picture. Because like the flat earth and the round earth, like what I showed you, neither one is wrong. Okay? Neither one is wrong. It's like experience, like feeling energy, experiencing energy. It's much like the empath. You experience the energy of others. You experience someone else's feelings. It's empathy. You watch a movie. You experience the empathy of what it is that you're observing. Correct? I went to holistic dancing the other night, and there was this person there, and I was experiencing a lot in my sacral shot in my sacral, right? Because I've been questioning a lot, and I was dressed as Cleopatra, and with regards to Cleopatra and her brother and her parents and what have you. Okay, I've been like like actually channeling a lot of that, and I was channeling a lot of my own experiences, my own paternal experiences, paternal and maternal. And there was this one, and they come over, and they were standing next to me. It was like, how fucking stupid do you think I am? Like, I've mastered the experience of energy, and I could like I was paying attention because I knew like when I started feeling something abnormal around my sacral, somebody was beside, and what they were doing was they were trying to experience energy of my of my sacral, of my uterus, my feminine. It's like whether they were trying to steal something because I could feel that. They're searching, stealing, stealing the sexual energy. And they were going like this around their belly. Like I'm very observant. I mean, I don't make it obvious. And it was just like, when I had enough, I was like, and all of a sudden, once I did that, they stopped and they walked away. It was like, busted. It's like trying to explain something to me, something that I've already known and I have it mastered. And they were saying about like how you get into these shamanic dances, the drumming dances, and the spirits take over. I had somebody else from a holistic crafter explain to me with regards to what goes on at these things, and she said that these people were doing like really strange fucking shit, that it was like not normal, but they didn't remember doing it. That's where you get the schizophrenia. See, the thing is, people say, like, "Oh, I don't remember doing that." It's like it is. It's a possession. It's like what you say goes on in these rituals. Okay, I actually observed it in a vision, in a dream, like in a viewing or what have you. What I was experiencing, and they were so deep in this that it's like you have the dancing and you have this group, like you have this group, and it was mainly women, and there was one man there or one energy that was running it all. It was like trying to steal from the sacral of what that woman was doing. And it became a female fucking orgy, and everybody looked like they were covered in blood. It's that part of, you get into these rituals. It's like a rave. You go to a rave. You do. You tap into the death aspect of things. You tap into the spirit aspects of things. And when you don't have a fucking clue what you're doing, when somebody tells you what it is that you're doing, and you continue to do it, and then you do stupid, frivolous shit where other people get hurt, and then you say, "Oh, well, I don't remember." Maybe you need to learn how to control that and realize that, you know, you may surrender to the spirit, but you're still the one in control of it. I connect with the spirit, but I don't give it domain over me to say, "Oh, you can go do what you want with it." That's not what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be finding the balance, not giving your physical body up to the whole fucking spiritual world and then saying, "Oh, I don't remember," after, you find out that you did something really fucking nasty and bad. It was like in '99 when I used Ouija board. I didn't know what I was fucking doing. I ended up using it by myself and then asking for a spirit. And, hey, you portray Hades as having the blue fire hair. Well, whatever the fuck it was at my window. It had blue flame. You find that part within you. And after I experienced that, and it was like that, almost like taking control, and it was trying to, and it was like I felt like I literally felt like I was dying. I felt like I was becoming deaf to the point where my two of my family members seen different things with regards to my eyes. One seen my eyes go completely white, where the pupil, my black pupil was more of a faint gray, almost white, and then the other one seen my eyes go completely black. And see, the thing is, after I died, before I went to Alberta in 2021, I had an experience at a bar, and it was like a fucking like. I'm going to be honest. There was this me and this girl. We were kissing, and everybody was gathered around. It was just like one massive fucking orgy type thing. I was aware of what was going on, and I was looking around, and everybody's eyes were turning fucking black because the energy in the room, the spirit realm, just started coming in. And I actually seen that happen, like when the spirits overtake people's eyes, their pupils just go huge. That's the same as a cat. And it's this aura field, you know, much like the apple core. Oh, yes, so it's like, seriously, it's the same thing as what your earth is like the apple core. From the center. Shit, I keep breaking my top. From the center out. There's your black hole, the funnel. But it's all got to do with even like the shit, the earth, what you perceive to be flat earth or round earth. Doing ain't doing. As above, so below. And this woman, the one that was trying to steal from my sacral, she was saying about like the different With it all like that. Well, I know all about that because, like, we were doing the medita and my body just started going like that. She said she could see our wings and our rainbow world. Yeah. But see, when I go to these things, I don't pay attention to other people around me. The only ones I pay attention to like, were the little kids that were there, and the little girls would come around sometimes, and the little fella, and I would talk to them. Children see all. The eyes of the innocent. They see because they see from the child. So this here too is, like I said, there's your cross again. World above and the world below. Heaven, earth. Oh shit. The sun. Here's your throat. Oh well, that's supposed to be green. Sorry, let's go green. The throat. The crown. I don't have another different little, but here's, we'll say this is here. Kurite coin. Hold on. Solar plex. Right? Okay. Sacral. Okay. Oh shit. Okay. I don't have a red. I don't have a red. So I'll have to do this again. Okay. And then we'll put this color as being the earth. Here's your earth. Okay. And there's your planets aligned. That's the apple. And this is the core. Right in here. Questa è come è quella è che you know, alpha omega. And what's that look like? It looks like the female vagina, right? Sun in the middle, sacral, voice of the child, voice of the sun, sexual orientation, because the sun is neither male nor female, because it represents the heart. That's, you say this is the apple, sight, voice, heart. Sight and the voice and the love. And this is the center of it all. The core. So hey, like I said, don't go believe me on this. Never. But you know, hey, maybe it's a conspiracy theory that actually makes sense. But hey, I got a whole bunch of oh man, dang. I broke my chalk. I need to get me one of those chalk things so that I don't break my chalk. And that's the first time I asked you. Maybe sometimes I should use this, and maybe my theories or things will make sense a little more. And hey, those are another way of looking at it. And these, I'll take a picture of these, and then I'll post it, and I'll post my whole video. I'll have to download it onto my phone, and then I'll repost the whole thing. And I'll have those pictures, and you can actually figure the theory out for yourself. It makes a whole lot of sense because these are your planets, and they're aligned. That's the alignment. What do you think is happening right now? You say the planets are aligning, so everything is coming back to alignment. So when everything comes to alignment, so hey, maybe my theory is not all that crazy. It can't be any more crazier than what people are saying. Like, people, like I said, people say flat earthers are crazy. People say that round earthers are crazy. It's actually like a spiral step. It's two ships connected, like the breaking of an apple. You twist the core and you pull it apart. That's the separation of the parallel worlds. As above, so below. Bonita Priamoi. Let's see. Seriously, let's do it that way. You have it like that, and then everything's going through the middle. You say CERN. Well, isn't CERN like a funnel through the middle? And this here is where The ships are coming out of the water, galetay, out of the core, the center of the earth. Aleto puriketa ay musikeret mushalay. But I'm stupid. I didn't go to university. But people will think that I'm, I will be honest. My theory, this theory, because it's not my theory, it's the spirit's theory. It's like, it's the theory that's already been out there. It's just not put out there in plain vision to you. You just have the choice of whether it's flat earth or round earth, and you're both bickering together, not realizing that it's two fucking ships put together with the fucking funnel in the middle. You have two sides. You have the chakras. They can be aligned or they can be shifted. So it's shifting. Just saying. And it's something you might want to think about. Excuse me, TikTok again. You get to look at my funky little face. So this. So I'll comment. Oh. So, I mean, if you're new to my channel, it's like you'll love me, hate me, like me, loathe me. I'll make you laugh, I'll make you cry, I'll piss you off, and you'll want to punch me upside my head, or you'll energetically want to cause harm to me. But my channel is spirit to spirit. So if people take things personally, well, that's on you, because I'm not talking directly to you per se, as I'm talking to the spirit. So another day this week, like I'm gonna be dressed up like well, I did it the other night. Saturday night, I dressed up as Cleopatra. And yeah, it is the and I'll be talking about Cleopatra and like more of the truth about Cleopatra, but people won't believe it because you seem Cleopatra to be dark and evil and what have you. And it's like, do you really know the truth? Because here, I'll show you. I really liked the way I was. See, I got it at a thrift store, and it's actually a child's size 14 to 16, which I found like very. How many of you know the truth about Cleopatra? Oh, and that's what I look like as the face. But I do. I resonate with Cleopatra. You're like Isis. Turisti kumuta anakare kiyosha ka almost kianui. And I have the Isis. Oh, the Emerald tablets. I have it down here. Where are you? Mm-hmm. people will even like you'll throw shit and shade at the Anunnaki and everything like that. Oh, here it is. I see some those. They weren't lovers. And there's the thing itself. I resonate very much with the gods and with the Anunnaki and people demonize everything because you're told from one side to the other. It doesn't matter what side you have. Good, you have what's perceived to be good, and you have what's perceived to be bad. It's like when the chakras are all kilter. There's a thing it's like the middle. You have so you have half, 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 half. You have the male side, and you have the female side. But we don't look at that stuff because this is stuff you're not taught in school because you might actually learn something and people say, "Oh, why do I learn that? That's just stupid." Yeah, you don't want to learn that because that's just stupid. But you'll fucking learn about beating the shit out of each other, right? Doesn't matter if you're learning about war in school or if you're going to church and learning about the different religions and who's killing this religion and who's killing that religion and these people and that people. Did you ever realize like it's the masculine and the feminine? Oh shit. But no, of course not. Because if you looked at that, shit. Where'd the purple go? Like shit, people. Like who gives a shit whether Justin Trudeau is seeing or dating Katy Perry or who the fuck? Like shit, man. Fucking leave it alone. You not have anything better to do with your time than. So hey, flat Earth and this and it's all intertwined. Like it all affects you physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and energetically. And like I said, you don't have to believe what I say. You listen to conspiracy theories. What? Because, like I said, because I didn't go to university, because I don't have this degree or that degree or what have you. I must not know anything. I'll learn from spirit, and you can keep learning from your books. I'll allow spirit to show me stuff like this. Just saying. You believe in flat Earth, you believe in round Earth, but you won't believe what's possible. Okay, that's entirely up to yourself how you see it. I can't tell you to see one way or the other, but there's another option. And personally, that makes more sense what I explained here than people fighting over a flat Earth or a round Earth. You're both right. It's a flat Earth. It gives the illusion of a round Earth because it's too flat. It's two perceived flat Earth combined with the core in the middle because it's the connection. So you're new to my channel, welcome in, and hey, maybe you'll follow, maybe you won't, maybe you'll like. It's entirely up to yourself. I'm not looking for you to be following me. I'm looking for you to follow you, to become a leader yourself, not to follow what somebody else says, but to look into it for yourself, because you will eventually come to the understanding of what really makes sense and what doesn't. So with that being said, I'm sending you all much love, light, many blessings, most importantly, very good health to anyone and everyone wanting, willing to receive and accept. I want you all to be big, bold, brave. Most importantly, be yourself, be your authentic self. Be true to yourself, be kind to yourself, and know that you have more strength than you can comprehend at times. It's not about taking what somebody else says as gospel. It's about using your own brain, using your own intuition. Okay? Just because you don't have a degree doesn't mean you're not a scientist. Doesn't mean that you don't have spiritual knowledge. Everybody has it. They're just told that they don't. Send you all love.